All right, right now, here is some work that I've already done to show you how these balls move. I'm going to click play. I've got a ball and a square moving at a different rate. So now I'm going to show you how I did that. Now, the first thing you want to do is you've got a file that already has the handles around the ball, so you don't even need to use this scale. You'll be using the different handles around the ball, but I'm just showing you that if you didn't have the handles, you could do it this way. But the one you're using, you can just use the move tool all the time. The first thing that's very important to remember to do is make sure your objects are in the starting position that you want them to be in when you're ready to start your animation. All right. You have to come up here to this area. I already have this on animation. Normally you would have it on modeling. We need to switch to animation, which is going to give us access to the key menu. And we need this. Now in the video that you're watching from somebody else, he does a lot of selecting over here. I'm going to show you an alternative to doing that. Before I start actually recording this, I want to make sure I've got my objects selected and they're in their starting position. As I said, I need to set a frame in the starting position. So the first thing I need to do is click the location on the time slider. I want it on frame 1. Then I'm going to select the shapes that I want to key, their position. Then I click key, set key. That's the starting position. You always want a starting position keyed. All right, I'm going to go over about 15 frames. That's the next step. Before I make any movements or sizes or anything on my shapes, I go to the time slider, I click at the frame I want to move, or I want to have the objects moved from. And it's actually going to move from this place to this place in that time. I'm going to move the ball down. Now, as it starts to go into the grid, I also want it to squash. So I'm going to do a combination of moving and squashing. Remember, your ball has the handles, so you'll work with the different handles. So that's what I want the ball to do. The square, I'm just going to have it rotate a little bit. Okay, now I need to select both objects. I'm going to come down at frame 15, make sure that that's where I need it to be, but always click there before you do any movement. Click key, set key. Now, my shapes do what I told them to do between those two keys. Now, if I want the ball to stay squashed for just a moment, I can move this one over just a little. Whoops, I have both selected. Be careful of that. I need to undo. Okay, so it's where it needs to be. All right, so I'm going to come over to about frame 17. That means the ball's going to stay flat for a couple of frames. I'm going to rotate this a different way. I might even move it a little bit. This one I'm going to leave alone. I'm going to select both, key, set key. Now I'm going to skip several frames. I'm going to move my square again, make sure only what you want to move is selected. Move my square. I'm going to pull my ball up. I'm going to move it over a little bit because it's going to be bouncing forward. But when it's going up, it's going to elongate. It's going to stretch. And it may look more like that. I'm going to highlight both. I'm on where I need to be. Key, set key. There is a shortcut key, the letter S, you can do instead of going to this menu. All right. I'm going to leave the ball there in that position for a moment. I'm going to click off the shapes. I'm just going to have the square come down a little bit. I'm going to select both. Key, set key. Skip a bunch. I'm going to click the ball by itself. It's going to now move over a little bit because it's on the, it would go on an arc to go forward. I'm going to come down. I'm going to scale it and squash it like it's doing another ball bounce. And if you're not sure if it's hitting, I'm using the grid as the ground. Your exercise file has a plane there. I'm going to take the square, I'm going to move it up. I'm going to rotate it a bunch of times. I'm going to highlight both, key, set key. Now, I'm going to start at the beginning of the timeline and I'm going to click play. I'm going to click off the shape so you don't see the handles, but here we go. All right. So these are some alternate ways than the video that is on the assignment does it. This might be easier than coming over here to select the coordinates. You can animate each object separately, or you can animate them together. That is absolutely your choice. If you're going to be doing a lot of editing to an animation, it might be best to animate each shape separately. Good luck.